Parker versus Zhang. This is a beauty. This is a beauty, right? So, just for context, everyone, you probably already fucking know this, but I'll fucking fill you in once again. Parker, coming off that blinding win against Wilder, he fought 4 times last year. Jack Massey, Apello, Keane, Wilder. That is a lot of activity. Sorry, let me just plug my battery in 1 second. Okay, I'm back. We've got the battery charging. Right, so yeah. And Zhang obviously coming off them 2 Joyce wins, which were pretty sensational. So they were 2 top 5 opponents that they beat there. So these are 2 men in the form of their lives and probably the best opposition beaten by any heavyweights out there at the minute, isn't it, really, looking back? So this is a special fight, and let's hope it lives up to it. So, Johnny B, coming to you first. What do you reckon is going to happen? I don't know how you can call a winner in this, I've got to be honest. It's so difficult.
Yeah, there's ways that Zhang wins this fight. There's ways that Parker wins this fight. I watched your video, by the way, the other day on this Parker video, and it is a real 50-50, this fight. And just hats off to the pair of them. Like, you look at the fighters that Zhang's had, Joyce and Hrgovic, his last couple of fights, and then Parker, mate. When you think Parker, 32 years of age, Andy Ruiz, Hughie Fury, Joshua, White, Chisora twice, Joyce, Wilder, now Zhang. Now, look at that for a fucking resume. In the day of everyone, got to protect your O. Yeah, Joseph Parker's lost 3 times, only been stopped once. But
biggest balls on a fighter in the world. Biggest balls.
Yeah, but did you see when they done the grand arrivals? Did you see when he comes skipping in?
I did, yeah.
Skipping in like a little girl.
Mate, I'd be skipping if I was earning what he's earned lately.
I know, it's true, man. But yeah, so what? So Zhang, the southpaw, he's got the power. He's obviously been fighting orthodox fighters, his whole life. So you think to yourself, Joe Parker, he's only fought 1 southpaw before, but Andy Lee was a southpaw, wasn't he? And he said he's got, the best trainer advice he can get, but ultimately, surely you need to be in there and fighting southpaws. So I think that's going to be a bit of a problem. I look at Joe Joyce and I think to myself, just keep moving. Is Zhang's feet that good? Can you just keep moving, just keep turning him, just keep out of range? But eventually, we say this, how many times we say this, eventually you've got to hold your feet and you've got to fight. And when you do against Zhang, that geezer just mastered it. He knows how to set you up. That right hand, that jab, he uses it as a straight punch where he comes around the side as a little hook. And he just knows how to just move his opponent into position. And, mate, his left hand, his backhand, it's like a piston. The power that he's got in it, devastating power. So Zhang is going to be seriously dangerous over the first 6 rounds, and that could be where he wipes out Joe Parker. I'm sure that's going to be like a betting favourite for a lot of people. But then can Joseph Parker bring him into deep waters, keep moving, hopefully that he gasses and then maybe stop him or maybe win on points? I think that's how most people are viewing this. Yeah, go on. I'll let you two chat.
I know you like looking at comments. Did you see the comments under the video I put out? It was literally Parker, Zhang, like, yeah, it was chaos. There was no conclusive choice there. So, this is fucking sensational fight. Kaya?
Let me just say, I watch a lot of interviews. With some fighters, they don't speak English and they've got like an interpreter there. You sort of listen to a little bit, you feel, I can't do this, and I just switch off. Zilly Zhang, though, man, I can listen to that geezer all day, man. Like, just his accent, the way he does the interview, I just got to know what the fuck he says.
His interpreter's
like
great as well, isn't he?
It's quality.
I just love it when
I
just love it when these fighters, they don't have a good grasp of the language and they give it a go. Do you know what I mean? Give it a go. I did see a short of him circulating on the internet going, Joe Parker, I'm the big bang. I'm going to bang you. I thought, has he realised what he's just said there?
That.
Did you see on the grand arrivals when they shook hands? Did you see the fucking size of Zhang's hand? Like, Joe Parker looked like he was like a boy holding his hand.
Yeah, he's a big dude, huge. He's a massive dude. And you know what? You're right. Pick and fight. Honestly, you said it yourself, John. It's like so many ways that either fighter can win this fight. It's so close that Johnny B, I guarantee you, will score this fight. He loves a little 10-10, Johnny B, doesn't he? He's going to score this fight 120-120 draw. Fact. That's what's happening at the end of the fight. How'd you score it, son? Round 3 was a 10-10. Round 8 was a 10-10.
Well, this is why we should have 5 judges.
Anyway, look, Joe Joyce, has obviously been beaten by Zhang, and they're both big lumps. Joe Joyce beat Joe Parker. The difference between Joe Joyce and Zhang, I suppose, in terms of how they fight, Joe Joyce obviously comes forward, marauders forward, pressurizes you, takes your shots, breaks your heart, and then eventually stops you. And that's what happened to Joe Parker in that fight. This one's obviously different because Zhang's is more of a sharpshooter, can turn your lights out with one shot, and you've got to be careful from out of range, haven't you? You've got to be careful because he's setting you up and he wants to land that big backhand, whereas Joe Joyce couldn't do that to Parker. So Parker could probably, you saw that in the first 6th round, break the distance, wasn't that worried about what was coming back at first. Obviously, you got to move your head a little bit. But this, I can just see Zhang just setting him up in this fight. You know that. I really can see it. And I fear for Joe Parker in this fight because I don't feel like the level of opposition in the last 4 fights, and I include Wilder in that, has been anything like what's going to appear in front of him on Friday night. So
you could say that about Zhang, though.
True. Joe Parker's going to be the quickest in terms of his hand speed, quickest that he's fought in recent times. Yeah, you could say the same about Zhang, but
Hrgović was not at the races either. He lost to Hrgović, but he weren't at the races that day, Hrgović. So
it's just that he's had his heart broken before. And I saw the Zhang-Hrgović fight. Zhang went into deep waters there with Hrgović. That was like an energy-zapping, grueling fight against Hrgović. And if it ends up like that, with the power that Zhang's got, I just fear for Joe Parker in the latter stage of this fight. And he's been stopped before. He didn't quit. He got his heart broken and he got stopped against Joe Joyce. And I can see the same happening here. So I'm going to stick with my original.
Is Zhang going to make Parker work every
Not like Joe Joyce,
round,
but mentally is. Because
like
you've got to be constantly worried about breaking the distance coming in. Because
you think Zhang knockout?
I think Zhang will wear him down and stop him in the later rounds, sort of rounds 9 to 12.
Yeah, but them later rounds are not where Zhang fucking excels, is it?
I don't know, man. He looked all right against Hrgović.
Shit tired.
His gas tank held up against Hrgović.
Well, yeah.
Was there any signs of him slowing down against Joe Joyce? I suppose there was a few signs, but Joe Joyce.
Well, he didn't get that far, did it?
Yeah. I don't know. I've got to go with it. I've got to go with it.
Yeah. You're not the only one, believe me. Like I say, it's so mixed reviews on this fight. And, I couldn't not see a Zhang knockout as well. I can picture that. But, for me, for my prediction, as I said in my video, I think Andy Lee and Parker, they're fighting so smart now. So smart. I love it. And I think their game plan will be to take him late, keep him well out of range for the most part of the fight, not get too involved, and then when he gets tired, step it up a bit and
he's going to be bouncing off his head.
Rely on the Parker speed, because Parker's going to be quicker than Zhang. Naturally, he's a lot younger. I just think in them late rounds,
I don't think his hands are faster than Zhang's.
Zhang's got a good inside game as well.
Zhang's got fast hands, man.
Inside game, he's tricky. Short hook.
I kind of just assumed. I've always thought Parker's fast. I kind of just assumed that he was faster because he's younger. I may be wrong, though. You're right. I may be wrong.
Do you know what it is? It's his movement, I think, is better. Lateral movement, going around the ring, sort of that in and that out, and then, throwing his punches. But I think in terms of, if they're standing there and there's a bit of a firefight, Zhang's going to hit first. He's got fucking fast hands, Zhang. For a big guy.
I can't. Yeah, I've got to go with what I said, and I think Parker late or decision. I just think he'll have his way come, the last 5-6 rounds. I think Zhang will be fucked,
John.
And
yeah, look, I thought to myself when I was looking, I was like watching videos of the pair of them, and I was thinking to myself, do you know what? That Andy Lee, Parker, they're going to try and make Zhang work. They're going to try and make him work, in and out, keep him moving, and just get him down towards the end of the fight and maybe beat him on points. If you look at Parker, if you look at the fighters he's fought, Andy Ruiz went the distance, Huey Fury distance, Joshua, White, Chisora, Wilder, all went the distance. He's got a gas tank. He knows how to pace himself in a fight. So when I was doing my prediction, I thought to myself, at the end of the day, you're going to have to fight at one point with Zhang. You're going to have to meet head on and you're going to have to work. And I think that Zhang, where he's been fighting orthodox fighters his whole life, like the amateur, like silver in the Olympics, he's going to move you into something and he's going to connect with you. Then when he connects, I think you stay fucking hit from Zhang. But then I thought to myself, he took some bombs, Joseph Parker, off of Joe Joyce early on in that fight. And didn't go 11 rounds against Joe Joyce. He went, I think, 11 rounds before he finally got stopped. So he's fucking tough, Joseph Parker. He's really, really tough. So in my mind, I was like, I think Zhang's going to stop him early. That's what I went. And I thought, do you know what? I think if he gets hit a couple of times, I think he can weather it. And I think in those exchanges, Zhang might tire. Down the back end of the fight, I do not see Parker stopping Zhang. As I say, who's Parker really stopped at the top level? No one. Really, I don't think he is. I don't think he has like bent arms when he throws his punches. He don't sort of follow through with. He ain't got devastating power. But betting, if it comes down to money, I'm going Parker on.
Ooh, fucking hell! I expected. It
does worry me.
You said that. I thought you was going to go with Zhang.
It does worry me, the old southpaw thing that Parker hasn't fought a southpaw.
I think he can just.
Well, yes, but not many. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he can. I just think if he can just weather some of those early rounds and get it past 6 rounds, I think Zhang will become a little bit more predictable and a bit slower, and his punches will become a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So as he gets to the later rounds, he's going to be easier to read, and then he might just win on points.
Do you think he'll come in, because he came in really heavy, didn't he, for the Joyce fight? Do you think he'll come in really light again, like he did with Wilder?
I think that's a mistake if he does it again.
Good question.
It obviously cost him last time.
He's coming in light, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be lighter than the Joe Joyce fight. Otherwise, they've made a massive mistake if they do the same thing twice. Because, in terms of mountain that you're fighting, they're quite similar in stature and size, aren't they, Joe Joyce and Zhilei Zhang? And even though they're different fighters, you're not going to win this fight by sitting down on your shots and peppering Zhilei Zhang and stopping him. I agree with John there as well. I'm agreeing, John, with too much in this fucking podcast, making me feel a bit ill. But I feel like he needs to be. Parker's going to win this fight. He has to be light on his feet and try and avoid the big backhand and see if you can nick it on points. I think that's the only way he wins this fight. And you got to come in lighter for that, for sure.
Do you hear Joe Joyce's advice?
What's that?
What?
He just said,
"Fucking move,
Parker. Don't do what I did."
Oh, cheers, Joe.
It was quite funny when he said it. Fair play. Good old Joe. Look forward to seeing him against the old fucking vampire in a month. Actually, it's less than that. It's a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, what are you now? March. Yeah, so a few weeks. Lovely. Right.